What's up? Welcome to Onecraknews, and I wanted to talk about it as soon as I possibly could, but I had to wait for the right moment and time to talk about it because I wanted to gather information and learn as much as I could about this lawsuit with Byron Allen and what's been going on with him and Comcast, and seeing how other people were involved. Now I can give you a full and comprehensive breakdown as to what's going on with the Comcast situation with Byron Allen and then some. Comcast is doing what a lot of network companies have been doing in the past. Warner Brothers essentially did the same thing when they had UPN and then went to the CW. Now, for years, and I do mean years, this abuse has been going by and no one cared. They preach diversity, but they do nothing to promote or empower the programs that they put out there for the urban and Hispanic markets. They basically put them out there and doom them to fail, but put these shows together to give the appearance that we are trying here. And what they mean by and imply by trying means that we're trying to show you we're being diverse. And once Byron Allen witnessed it with his company and how they were basically shutting him down and not giving him the support, because Allen's Entertainment Studios, and since 2015, has filed a racial discrimination suit against Comcast and their executives. The lower case courts were throwing it out, but it was crazy because the conflict is rooted in two sides jockeying each other for favorable conditions in order for them, And the case, they think the case should go back down to lower courts. In lower courts, they ruled for Comcast's favor. They just kept throwing it out. And they saying, well, you need to prove the lawsuit over Comcast's decision not to carry several cable channels owned by entertainment studios. Ultimately, but for legal tests, meaning that for racial discrimination, Comcast would have to enter into a carriage agreement with entertainment studios. So Allen's team, which is led by Berkeley School of Law, they had Dean Komersky there, maintained that a large, like a bit large complaint was being done, and the case, you have to have plausible cause and everything, why it's race motivated and all of these different things. So when they applied the $20 billion suit against the company, it was dismissed 3 times by the lower court. Last year, the court agreed with Byron Allen that the motivation factor that he presented was substantial, and they had enough sufficient evidence that the suit had improperly dismissed by the lower courts. And Stephen Breyer, with a touch of irritation, as the hearing went on, Comcast lead attorney Miguel Estrada was talking about the people was present and had not acknowledged the fact that they would prevail in the end, and Allen would have to prove the denial of the carriage is met, but for tests and all these different things. The problem in this case is that there are factors that back this up. Comcast, which owns NBC as well, they have a partnership with NBC. A former executive there was accused of doing the same type of acts at NBC, of giving the appearance that they're being diverse, but not giving the financial support or the infrastructure needed for the company or the show or the program to actually grow. They just want them there basically for, attention, and then basically is not just leaving them out to fail. and trying to act as if no one likes the show or it's just not doing well, so they have to let it go. But no one could say they weren't diverse. And this contrast was presented to the judge, and the decisions to dismiss the case shortly after it was filed by the lower courts, you know, kind of brought up a little weirdness to it. And the civil rights cases hinges on a test and all this craziness. But Comcast, of course, came to a race neutral explanation for all of its decision making, saying if race is seen as a motivating factor but not the sole reason for the decision, the burden would be on Allen's team to prove that he was denied the same right as a white person to make and enforce contracts. The specifics of the law that Allen invoked in the suit, in effect, this means that while the motivating factor standard is better way to get the case to go to trial, but for standard may be the best chance for Allen to prevail in this situation. And that's all he have to do is find out that if race is a motivating factor, if they could prove that, which they claim they can, then they can win the case. Oh, this will go on for years. I mean, this if they did win, the appeals will go on in the courts. You won't see $20 billion. But the fact that this is happening is mind blowing. You see the TV show Power and how Comcast has eliminated Power. It's the number one show with urban and Latino markets, and yet they want to get rid of stars altogether. It's 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 backwards. It's not making sense, and I would never ever get Comcast cable. I don't care how fast their internet is. Never would get it. This was the most damaging thing they've ever done. And on that note, I'm out.